If you're in a market for a new microphone and somehow you've landed on going with an Elgato microphone, you've literally picked the best time to buy an Elgato mic because now as a consumer, you've actually got some options. But there's three factors you need to consider to determine which one is the right one for you. And those three factors are pretty simple. Number one, what kind of microphone do you need? Number two, what do you expect out of your microphone? And number three, how much money are you willing to spend? Let's go. So number one, we need to help you understand what kind of microphone do you need. I am literally talking about, do you need a dynamic microphone or a condenser microphone? And in order to make that decision, you have to understand the differences between the two. Simply put, a dynamic microphone is that kind of microphone that's going to give you that radio broadcast sound that you're very familiar with if you listen to podcasters and other big top dog streamers and content creators. You know, think about like a microphone such as the SM7B, right? That is what a dynamic microphone kind of gives you in terms of audio quality. Now, as for a condenser microphone, condenser microphones reproduce more true to source quality. This is going to be more clearer and it's going to sound more like you actually sound when you're speaking in front of someone else. Obviously, there are pros and cons to each type of microphone. So for dynamic microphones, one of the pros is definitely that dynamics do a much better job of rejecting noise. So if you're working, recording, streaming in a somewhat noisy environment and you're using a dynamic microphone, then this will pick up less noise because it is tuned, it is set up to where it only really records and picks up sound directly in front of the microphone. Whereas a condenser microphone is much more sensitive, so it will pick up a whole lot more extra sound, such as your PC fans, your ceiling fans, your AC unit. You know, maybe you've got other people in a room nearby your house, you know, watching TV, playing around. You might be able to pick some of that up with a condenser mic. And you have to take that into consideration because do you want that sound in your audio that your audience is going to hear? But you got to start taking your audience into consideration. And I definitely need you to take that into consideration as you're about to make a purchasing decision because you will spend money to get one of these going. Moving on. Listen, I know I said at the beginning of the video, there's three factors we're going to talk about. Number one being, you know, what type of microphone do you need based upon your recording environment, right? And in doing that, in talking about that, we actually also answered number two, what do you expect out of your microphone? If you expect vocal clarity, go condenser. If you expect to sound like you're on a freaking radio broadcast show, go dynamic. But here's the thing, it doesn't even really matter because Elgato software is so powerful and it's so good at what it does that thanks to the new released plugins that they just put out for Wavelink in the release of the Wave DX, the Elgato equalizer and Elgato noise removal, you can EQ either one of these mics to sound however you want it to. Right now, this entire time you've been listening to both the DX and the Wave 3 running with the Elgato EQ turned on. And somebody else asked me in some YouTube comments earlier, yes, that also the EQ for Elgato will work on non-Elgato microphones, such as my beautiful Rode Procaster. Having talked about points 1 and 2, that leaves us with how much money are you willing to spend for each one of these mics, for either one of these mics. And the good news is that on one side of the spectrum, it's super cheap now. On the other side of the spectrum, it's going to cost you a couple bucks. If you decide to go with the Wave microphones, you have two options there. That's four. You have two options, okay? The regular Wave microphone is now 50 bucks. That is a steal. That is the deal of a century. Oh my God, it's crazy. And it's crazy because the microphone itself is pretty good. It's the software that makes the microphone amazing. For 50 bucks, you can get that. For 150, you can get the Wave 3 microphone. The difference between the two is the functionality of the knob at the front. That's pretty much it. If you want to go the XLR dynamic route, it's $100 for the Wave DX and $150 for the Wave XLR audio interface. And I would recommend using the Wave XLR audio interface because the only way to use Wavelink and take advantage of how amazing that software is that you either have the Wave microphones that use Wavelink or you have the Wave XLR audio interface that uses Wavelink. Without Wavelink, these microphones are decent at best. It all comes down to how much money you're willing to spend. Do you want to spend 50 bucks? If you're starting out and you don't have that much of a budget to get everything set up so you can start creating content, hell yeah, get the $50 Wave microphone. Don't even worry about spending 100 bucks extra for the Wave 3. It's not really that worth it. It's nice to have the functionality. I hardly ever use it because once you set your gain, you're done. If you want slightly better quality audio and you want to have a more dynamic broadcast sound with your audio, spend the 250 bucks and get the Wave XLR audio interface and the Wave DX. I hope you found this video helpful and informative because it's it's a good thing to have options, ladies and gents. And I'm very happy for anybody who's just getting started nowadays, because you have way more options than I ever did when I first started, when content creation gear was not as mainstream and readily available as it is nowadays, and it was expensive. Until next time, I love y'all. Thank y'all for supporting the channel. It really means a lot. Y'all have no idea how appreciative I am of all of you that support the channel. Watch it. I don't care if you do subscribe or don't subscribe. Just watch the videos, like them, share them, comment. Tell me what you think below. Y'all be good to yourselves. Be good to one another. Peace out.